Right. We've just got under 1 minute now, Nick.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon to all the students who are here. Welcome to the seminar with University of West London. We've got Nick Miller with us today here, who's going to be running the session. Thank you so much, Nick, for your time today and for running us through the seminar. Over to you.
My pleasure. Thanks very much indeed, Ravina. Thanks to all of the staff at SI UK for giving the opportunity to be here this afternoon. Welcome, everybody. So my name is Nick Miller. I'm the Senior International Officer at University of West London. I'm here really today to talk to you about, what we offer at UWL and what you might expect if you consider applying here, or if you've already applied and you're looking to join us next year, then this is a great opportunity for you to ask me some questions at the end of the presentation. But to begin with, I'm going to go through a brief presentation. Well, it should take about 25 minutes or so. And then at the end of the presentation, I'll show you a short video, and then we can open the floor up to Q&A. So let me just share my screen with you, and we can begin the presentation. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, Nick, we can see the screen.
Excellent, wonderful. Okay.
I can see the screen.
Okay, it should appear through in a second. Okay, can everybody see the first slide?
Yes, I can see.
Excellent, brilliant. I'll begin then. So, University of West London, we describe ourselves as being the career university, and I'll explain why as we go through the presentation. A lot of that is largely to do with our location being in London and our sort of links with local and international businesses and the employment opportunities that we provide for our students. So our location, if any of you have ever traveled to London before, if you're in London now, you might be familiar with West London. We're near Heathrow Airport. We're about 20 minutes away. So very easy access if you're arriving in the UK with heavy suitcases, looking to go to your accommodation, not far to travel at all. The great thing about being in West London as well, it's more of a residential area. So it's actually fairly quiet and leafy in places, lots of open spaces, green spaces, parks. And we've got wonderful access, fabulous transport links to the centre of London. So our nearest train station from our main campus in Ealing would be Ealing Broadway or South Ealing Station on the Piccadilly line. So it's really convenient to get anywhere central in London. So we essentially have two campuses. So there's the main campus in Ealing, and then nearby we have a campus in Brentford, just on the Great Western Road. The Great Western Road, if any of you ever know it, it's quite a big industrial area with some huge skyscrapers, with some of the largest companies in the world with their UK headquarters there. 50% of the world's top 300 companies have headquarters within a 15-mile radius of our campus. So that, again, sort of underpins why, we're very much the career university and have these links with big business, because we're at the heart of the business community in London. If you study with us at UWL, a lot of the courses cross over between the two campuses. So for example, if you're doing like accounting and finance, some of the modules might be delivered in Ealing and others might be delivered in Brentford. To connect the two campuses, we have our own shuttle bus service, which is pretty frequent and only takes about 15 minutes to flip between the two sites. Then this is just a picture just showing the main campus in Ealing. The bottom right-hand image, you can see the original building at the front, which is quite a large Victorian building. And originally this was a school called the Lady Byron School. And so it's been a centre of education since the 1800s. And over the years, the site has changed name. It was Ealing College of Higher Education, then it was Thames Valley University. And we've been branded as University of West London probably for about 7 or 8 years now. And we've got quite a strong reputation, growing reputation both in London, but also nationally. So that's the Ealing campus in pictures. And this is our other campus at Brentford, which is essentially quite like a 10-story skyscraper. And you can see the big poster on the left-hand side for Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie that came out. We're quite fortunate to have that on there because Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen, is one of our most well-known alumni. So that's quite a nice image, bringing our history together with our modern-looking building. At this building, we tend to have the majority of our health and nursing courses delivered. And we've got terrific facilities set up as simulation rooms. So we have like a simulation of a hospital ward, simulation of an ambulance, so that students studying those related courses can get hands-on practice with all the equipment that you'd find if you were working within the National Health Service. Within the simulation suite, they have things like a dummy of a pregnant lady, and this dummy has got like AI capabilities, and it can speak, and it can deliver a baby every 10 minutes. It takes about 2 minutes, and it takes they can deliver babies every 10 minutes. They have like models of like different patients, so students can practice on them. And we also collaborate with other departments. So we bring in some of our drama students to portray accident and emergency situations, and to try and make it simulated and as close to real life as possible. Okay, so inside the main building at Ealing, you can see it's a very modern structure, very clean lines, quite a dynamic look about the place. In the center, we have something called the Heart Space, which is the central community area with the student canteen. Above there, we've got the library, the Paul Hamlyn Library, and to the left there, we have, it's kind of like a DJ booth, if you like, our own in-house radio station. And we have like a radio DJ playing music throughout the day. It's all state-of-the-art facilities. Okay, so I'm going to start off really with some interesting facts and achievements about University of West London, in case you're not already familiar with us. Earlier this year, we were very proud to be voted the #1 university in the UK for student satisfaction, and also for student voice and academic support. So the National Student Survey is put out every year, and it's quite an incredible achievement that we are #1 out of all the universities in the UK. And then last Sunday, the Times Education supplement, they published their annual university rankings, and we've shot up the rankings this year, partly due to the outcome of the National Student Survey, us being #1, but for other reasons as well. So we were around 55 last year, I believe, but this year we're now top 40 university in the UK, which is a tremendous achievement. And next weekend, the Guardian newspaper published their university guide, and we are tipped to be in the top 20, which is quite astonishing. But in the Times article that was out last week, they put it very clearly, you know, we are home to the nation's most contented students. So I'm sure if you decided to come to UWL, you would have a very similar experience. And, you know, we're very good for employability, as I mentioned earlier. So 98% of our graduates in surveys achieve employment or further study within 6 months of graduation. We've got a really good support network within the university, which will help you as a student during your time with us to access like part-time work during your studies, and also leading to career opportunities at the end. If you're an international student, as you know, you've got access to the graduate route, where you can remain in the UK for up to 2 years, gain some work experience, valuable work experience, earn some money, and really get yourself equipped for your future career. We're also burgeoning to improve ourselves in terms of our research capabilities. We're currently in the top 100, but we've got very ambitious goals to get within the top 70 universities in the UK for research excellence. So currently at the university, we've got around 11,000 students. So quite a large number. And within that, we've got a cohort of around 14% who are international. And interestingly, we've got 60% are female. Maybe that might be to do with some of the subjects that we offer, but we're very heavily weighted towards female interests, obviously. And West London is probably one of the most diverse communities in London, if not the UK. So that's reflected in our student body, with about 60% of our students coming from, you know, different ethnic minorities. So this really contributes to the discussions in the classroom. If you've got international students, people from different perspectives, cultural backgrounds, belief systems, it really creates great debate and discussion during lectures. We've won awards for being the best business school. The business school Claude Littner Business School is named after a TV personality and business entrepreneur called Claude Littner, who appears on the BBC's Apprentice show. You might be familiar with. He was a graduate of ours. We've won Best Student Union in London. You know, being London, we don't have lots and lots of space available to us, but considering the space that we do have, we have a fantastic students union. We have a gym, sports club, and lots of clubs and societies which are available for students to participate in. Going back to our employability remit, you know, we've got the Enterprise Hub. So we're very involved with not only our students, but within the local community to try and nurture startup businesses. And we work on some really fascinating projects. To give you a couple of examples, we've got a really advanced food science lab where we're developing new food products. And we've launched things like a new type of bread, which is made out of egg shells. So when we all like eggs, when you've made your omelette or whatever, you tend to chuck the egg shells away in the bin. But you know, we've managed to recycle the eggshells because they're full of minerals, nutrients, calcium, and we've fabricated it into a new material to simulate bread, and we can actually make like a loaf of bread out of eggshells. I don't know what it tastes like, but it just gives you an indication of the kind of science and research that we're doing in our laboratories. We've got a state-of-the-art computing and engineering department, and we're one of the first higher education institutions to be in partnership with the Amazon Web Services. As I mentioned before, we've got some quite prestigious alumni, particularly within the world of arts and entertainment. So I already mentioned Freddie Mercury from Queen, Pete Townsend from The Who, Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones, Matt Tong, Bloc Party. We've our current Foreign Secretary within the UK government, James Cleverly, was a graduate of ours who was with us in the early 1990s. We've got one of the state governors for Nigeria, who's a graduate. So quite an interesting array of people who are heavily involved with the university, who come and give guest speeches, and invest in some of the projects with our students as well. So we're very lucky to have their support. So our two sites then, they've got state-of-the-art facilities, and in addition to Brentford and Ealing, we've acquired other buildings. So for drama students, there is a building just a few minutes a walk down the road called Drama Studio London, which is very close to also Ealing Film Studios, which we use for our film production students as well. And in Berkshire, which is a county just west of London, we have a centre for nursing and midwifery, in addition to our midwifery and nursing department in Brentford. And we're an expanding university. You know, all the revenue that we get each year from student fees, it gets reinvested into the university. So the students who are currently with us and in the future all reap the benefits with much better facilities and new buildings and new courses. So as I mentioned, some of the other interesting features we have on campus is we have within our tourism and hospitality business, we have lots of courses related to airport management, airline training, airport training. So we work with people like British Airways and some of the other low-cost airlines. We actually have a flight simulator on campus as well. And we, what else can I say? We have access for students to our libraries 24/7, 7 days a week. We've got various cafes. We've got a branch of Costa Coffee. We've got a number of restaurants, cafes, shops on site. So within the Students' Union, the main room entertainment venue is called Freddie's Bar, named after Freddie Mercury. And within the Students' Union, we have a full range of different clubs and societies that you can get involved with. Everything from, you know, the Law Society to something called the Garlic Bread Society, where students take samples of garlic bread from different restaurants in the local area and sit down and sample every single one and give a review and a write-up for each slice of garlic bread. So there's fun things and there's more serious things. And if you're a student, say, for example, from Nigeria, we have a Nigerian society. We have, you know, lots of sports clubs, everything from, MMA to basketball, volleyball, whatever your interest is, football. We have a club and society. And if we don't have it, then you're more than welcome to work with our team to set one up of your own. So lots to do outside of the classroom. So when you come to University of London, there's quite a range of courses that you can choose from. And the thing I find very interesting is the overlap between the different faculty areas. I mentioned earlier about the School of Nursing and Healthcare, how they utilize the drama students to incorporate into some of their classes to simulate certain situations. And the same goes for our fashion students. We'll also work with our music production students and our film students if they're working on a film project, maybe a music video for one of our music students. And we have obviously the hospitality management school as well that crosses over into many areas within business. One of the other unique areas that we offer is our School of Law and Criminology. We're a growing department where we're offering training at the moment for the Metropolitan Police. So throughout the summer, this university was incredibly busy training up the police here in London. So we're quite strong on areas like psychology, criminal psychology, forensics, anything related to policing and criminology is quite an interesting area for us. And that obviously overlaps with our School of Human and Social Sciences, who have a very strong psychology department. So whatever you're choosing to study, I'm pretty sure we've got a study option for you. So our courses mainly start in October. So we normally ask students to arrive in September so that they're there for an induction, and so they're properly settled before they begin their class. We also have an intake in October called like an extended program, if you like. This is for students who maybe need a little bit more extra support. And that group sort of feed into our intake, which is in February. So essentially we have an intake in February and an intake in October. And then we have extended programs in June and later in the year in the autumn. So that's a range of our courses. So if we talk about tuition fees, you'll find that University of West London is pretty competitive compared to other universities in the London area. So our MBA, for example, is £15,000 for 1 year, which is very, very good. Undergraduate international fees, £13,250. So it's a little bit less than the average for universities in London, you'll find. So we're a good option for that. I'll just touch on it very briefly. We do offer some international scholarships. The scholarship contribution is up to £5,000. So you can apply for this through our websites. We issue scholarships for our September, October intakes and our February and January, February intakes. And it's based on merit, academic merit. And we try and encourage students to become ambassadors. So work with us on particular projects to help promote the university in their home country. Moving forward, I'll just give you, I won't go into too much detail about the courses. I'll leave that for you to figure out yourself. The best thing to do is to go onto our website and search through each faculty that you're interested in. And then you can break it down under undergraduate or postgraduate, and then look through each of the modules in each of the courses. But here is an example of some of the new courses that we've had available. On that list, I would say artificial intelligence has become a really popular subject area for us this year. And we find like our health related courses are very popular, particularly our MSc in public health and well-being. And then, of course, things like accounting and finance is very popular too. These are the courses that we have available on our extended masters, which the courses will be starting this October, later next month. Okay, so how do you apply? Well, my advice would be to work very, very closely with SI UK. SI UK are our trusted partner, not just in London, but also all over the world. They have many offices around the world, and they're a really good resource to give you support every step of the way. You know, we encourage direct applications to University of West London. You can do this directly through the website. And what I would strongly recommend that you do is make sure that you collate as many documents as you can, things like certificates from university or from school, any references or CVs that you have, of course, things like passports. Of course, you can apply without any of that, but it just makes the process so much more slower. Then we'll be going to and fro to you to ask for each document one by one. So to speed things up, I would recommend not applying until you've got all your paperwork in place. And SI UK are really good at explaining and giving you support on what you require. The other thing I would say is whenever you're considering coming to the UK, any university or particularly ours, apply early, and consider that there might be a delay. I think since the end of COVID in the UK, and as things have opened up, there's been a surge in applications. So most universities in the UK have really struggled to process the high volume of applications this year, which means that students are late getting offers, late applying for their visa, and it just adds a lot more stress and pressure. And one of the negative outcomes of this that we found this year is to do with flight costs. So, we've had students, for example, from India who are arriving this week, and the cheapest flight that they can find from India is like £1,200. It's crazy. If they'd applied earlier in the cycle and got their offer earlier and applied for their visa earlier, maybe they could have, got a cheaper flight. So you've got to consider, the timing of when you apply. We are very flexible. We do accept last minute applications, but ideally earlier the better. So what considerations do we have for admissions for undergraduate courses? So really the most important thing is to think about English. You've got to prove your English level. I mean, in some countries, for example, Nigeria, if you've got the WAEC, the high school certificates, that is accepted as the minimum requirement for English. But in some countries, you need IELTS. You need to demonstrate your English level. So make sure that you can produce that. And if you haven't done an IELTS test, get one done. So undergraduate, we're looking at 5.5 in each of the individual components for entry. Each course has its own academic entry requirements, so you need to check. And certain subjects may have a requirement for you to provide a portfolio of evidence to back up your work-related history to that subject. Or, for example, it might be for drama or music. It could be a performance. An audition, if you like. You need to demonstrate any gaps you've got in your study. Ideally, if you're an international student, we don't really want any more than a couple of years. For example, like if you're coming from like West Africa, we don't really consider anybody over the age of 23 for undergraduate, because we see it as more of a risk, because there's obviously been a gap in the education. We need to understand why there's been a gap. This is not just for our benefit, but it's really for visa requirements for the UK VI. If the criteria is met, we need other information, which we'll ask for. If you look at postgraduate as well, we need a couple of references. One can be academic, one must be a personal one or work-related. And we need, for postgraduate, evidence up to 10 years, really. If you've got any gaps of up to 10 years of study, we'll need to see that. If you've got a third-class honours degree and you want to do a master's program, then we would recommend that you do like an extended route for our master's programs. A common one is where we have students who've got HNDs. We won't be able to accept someone on a postgraduate entry if they've got a higher national diploma. You really got to have a degree for us to accept you. So either look at top-up solutions in your own country, or perhaps a pre-master's course or a foundation pathway with another institution. Again, evidence of English is so important for the postgraduate level, because some of the courses entry for English is a lot higher. We really, for visa compliance, depending on which country you're from, we're looking for a minimum deposit of £3,000, but from higher risk countries, for example, India or Nigeria, we require a deposit of £10,000, which is quite a lot of money. So you need to consider this. And you also need to take into consideration currency fluctuations. So it's always good to account for a slightly over that amount, just in case the currency fluctuates. We verify all the bank letters. We look at all of your educational qualifications, check them all out. So make sure that you have everything up to date and good copies of, if it's like a copy of a certificate, make sure it's legible for us to read. And, don't, be as transparent and honest and open with us as possible. At the end of the day, if it's the documents aren't quite right, if there's something wrong with them, it could ultimately mean loss of deposit, visa refusal, and lots of time wasted for both yourselves, ourselves, and SI UK. We need to know where the funds come from for your studies. That's really, really important. I think as well, one other thing you need to consider is if you've got any existing family in the UK, or if you're coming to the UK with any family members, you need some sort of strategy in place of, how you're going to plan any dependents, whether it's your wife or spouse, children, whatever, that you're bringing to the UK, because this could be problematic when you're applying for your visa. Also, you need to be upfront with us about any previous visa rejections, even if it's not just for the UK, it could be for other countries too. We need to know, because we take compliance very, very seriously with all of our students. And then once you've received an offer and with us, and we are in the process of issuing a CAS, we do something called a pre-CAS credibility interview with all of the students, whereby we will go through a series of questions asking you about your decision to choose the University of West London, the course, what modules on the course particularly interest you or relate to your career goals in the future. We don't really provide any, coaching or prompting during the interview. We'll give you feedback at the end and give you the opportunity to ask any general questions. But this is really like a mock interview should the UKVI pick your name out of a hat and decide that they want to interview you. But our record for visa applications this year has been 100% successful. We've not had any rejections whatsoever, which is credit to the fact that we scrutinize every application very, very closely and make sure that every student has all the adequate paperwork. So again, this, just to reiterate, working with SI UK is a great move, because they can help you with the visa application process and avoid making any kind of silly or errors that could affect your visa application. So work with SI UK. They've got lots of experience helping students just like you. Okay, so before I answer some questions, I've got a short video I'd like to share with you, just to give you an overview of University of West London. So here we go.
Welcome to the University of West London. My name's Nicole, and I'm going to give you a quick tour around the Ealing campus, so you can get a better understanding why people like me love UWL. The Ealing campus is really well connected, and is only 20 minutes from central London, but it's also a wonderful, leafy, green community, so you get all the benefits that London has to offer, whilst also enjoying the many open spaces in the area. Here at UWL, we think the support you need in order to succeed is so important, and that's why we make it the first thing you see when you set foot on campus. Here you can access loads of support and advice on things like housing, finance, health, and your own well-being. You might never need help, but it's always good to know that it's there. But our support is not just for when you need help, it's for making the most of your time at university, so you can reach your full potential. Our study support team is here to help you work smarter, not just hard. They offer masterclass workshops, so you can build the skills to excel in your studies. And there's a reason why we're known as the Career University. We support our students in finding paid work and getting relevant work experience. Long before you graduate, our careers team will support you in preparing for the world of work and a rewarding and successful career. This is the Heart Space, the main hub of our Ealing campus. Here you can meet friends, attend events, and bump into people you know. It was created as a part of our £150 million transformation of the campus. Created an inspiring social and learning environment for students. Above me is the library, named after Paul Hamlet, who believed that everyone should be given the support they need in order to reach their full potential. And that sums up what UWL is all about. The library is not just a part of our campus where a wide variety of books and other learning materials are. It's also an amazing learning space with access to hundreds of computers. Each floor is set up differently, so you can study in a way that suits you. So you can choose from collaborative study, quiet study, or silent study. The library is open 24 hours, 7 days a week during term time. And the library staff are incredibly knowledgeable and are always there to help you. The main teaching area is located just off the Heart Space. Across the campus, there's a whole variety of lecture theatres, seminar rooms, and specialist facilities to help you gain the skills employees need. Down the corridor, you can find our £250,000 flight simulator. That's so good, British Airways use it. Upstairs, you can find our new biomedical labs, green screen rooms, and production suites. In fact, the whole campus is jam-packed full of amazing facilities, like our professional radio studios, mock courtroom, and a hospital simulation centre. Whatever you're planning to study, there are facilities to help you build your skills for a future career. At UWL, the students really do come first. The university takes pride in listening and responding to what students have to say. That's why UWL was voted University of the Year for Student Experience. The Student Union plays a big part in that. They help to create a sense of community, enabling students to socialise both within their course and across the university. With nearly 50 clubs and societies, you're bound to meet people with similar interests as you. And if you're into sports and keeping fit, our brand new on-campus sports centre includes 2 gyms, 2 large fitness studios, and spacious changing facilities. Many of our sports teams even have access to professional quality facilities. And our partnership with Premier League club Brentford FC provides an exciting connection to elite level sport. I hope you enjoyed that quick tour of UWL at our Ealing campus. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this tour, is that people at UWL care. They care about you, and they care about doing their best for you. And that makes all the difference, and it's why I love UWL. If you would like to find out more, sign up for an open day, or connect with us on social media. And we hope to see you around campus soon.
Okay, thank you everyone. So now I'd like to spend the next sort of 20 minutes opening the floor to any questions that you might have. So who would like to go first?
Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for the presentation. I think you actually covered a lot of the questions already, but we've had a lot of great questions come through in the chat box. If it's okay, I might just start going through them one by one.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So we've got actually participants from all around with different backgrounds as well. So one of the first questions we got was from Rabiha. She's currently a PhD student, and she wanted to ask about potential work options after she graduates from whatever degree she's currently doing.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, thank you for that one. Basically, we have a very strong support network within the university to support our students finding work. This could be during the time that you study with us. As a student in the UK at university, you're allowed to work 20 hours per week during your term time. And then during non-term time, like the holidays, you're allowed to work full time in the UK. And then after graduation, you're allowed to stay for up to 2 years in the UK on the graduation route. And so we have a dedicated team to support you. We can make introductions to local employers who might be interested in your skill sets. And don't forget, our academic staff have lots of industry experience and connections as well. So they could match you up with potential employers. As I mentioned earlier, we've got an outstanding success rate for graduate employability. So I think being in London is a real benefit in that regard as compared to other UK universities.
Yeah, great question for a careers-focused institution for sure. Thanks, Rabia, for starting us off with that one. We've got another question from someone asking about a master's degree in mining and environment, so quite specific. So they were asking what the entry requirements for that might be and if it's available at University of West London.
Yeah, so not really mining. No, we don't. We do have a department for computer and engineering, but it's more like electrical and electronic engineering. We don't really cover mining. We do architectural design technology, building surveying, civil engineering, project management, those kinds of areas, which, they might touch upon, mining projects, but not specifically mining. I guess there are other institutions within the UK that focus specifically on mining. maybe they're probably institutions in the heartlands of our own mining industry. I'm sure SI UK can advise you on those institutions. But my advice in terms of what we offer is go on our website, have a look at uwl.ac.uk, go on the School of Computing and Engineering, drill down onto the different course options that we have, look inside those for the different modules and see which ones appeal to you. If you're not entirely sure, one thing that we can do is we can set up an interview with one of our academic course leaders who could have an informal chat with you and help you decide what subject might be most appropriate in terms of your meeting your career goals.
Great, thank you so much, Nick.
Okay.
We've actually had 3 students also inquire about cybersecurity. So all 3 students are interested in a master's degree in cybersecurity. I mean, we've seen increasing applications come in for cybersecurity as well. So any advice on how to apply entry requirements and maybe how to make their application stand out?
I don't really have any specific advice on that particular subject. I'm not that familiar with that subject or the modules or the teaching staff. I've not actually been at the University of West London a terribly long time, so I don't profess to be an expert on every subject. But if it's something that you're very interested in, please give your details to Ravina. She can pass your details to me. And I'm more than happy to introduce you to the course leader of that subject who can give you some advice on guidance and discuss the different modules within that course. But certainly there aren't many institutions offering that subject, and we recognize that the field of cybersecurity and also artificial intelligence is an subject area that we're very keen to expand. And so I think it's likely that this time next year that we'll offer more courses in that area. But as I mentioned, we work very closely with the police, and cybersecurity is a big part of what the police do. So if we have been approached by the Metropolitan Police to deliver subjects like cybersecurity, it's really evident that we're quite a strong player in the market for this subject area. So yeah, please apply, and we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. And I'll put Nick's email address and also the SI UK email address in the chat box. So do feel free to send us your information, and I'll pass it on to Nick for the application. The next question we've got is actually related to English language requirements. So Sujatha specifically asked about, is OET accepted as an English language requirement?
No, at the moment, University of West London are developing their own online English test. So for the moment, we're not very open to accepting other tests other than the ones that are recommended by the UK VI. So unfortunately, we don't offer the Oxford International test at the moment. I have looked into considering it, and I am discussing it with partners, other partners as well. Perhaps the Kaplan one as well we are considering, but at the present time we won't accept those within the admissions team, which is a great pity.
Thanks for confirming that, Nick. Yeah, I think you covered that in your presentation as well. We've got another question from a student asking about he's from Afghanistan and he wants to start a bachelor's degree in BCS. So I think it's a question mainly around generic entry requirements for undergraduate programs.
Yeah, for undergraduate programs, English level 5.5. Each course really is different with their entry requirements. We're looking to attract like good quality applicants. So my advice is make sure that when you apply, please provide a good support statement with your application. I've seen lots of different application support statements, and they do vary in quality. Try and stand out. And when you're applying, not just to our university or any, try and be as concise as you can with your answers. Be as articulate and concise. It's really, really helpful, and it will put effort into it. I mean, I'm quite astonished sometimes when I see applicants for postgraduate courses, and they really don't fill out the answers very, very well. And you think if they've already been through an undergraduate program and they're looking to study at master's level, that they would know how to put together a few paragraphs to explain their particular interest in a subject area. So I don't know, it's quite a general question, but just be thorough with your application, fill out every single box, and make sure you stand out from the others, because as I mentioned earlier, not just ourselves, there's been an overwhelming number of applications to study at our university and other universities in the UK. So a lot of universities, they will immediately reject you if you don't fill out the form correctly.
Yeah, that's some great advice there, Nick. Yeah, we also tell students all about the importance of writing really great personal statements, and often run workshops and seminars around it. I think students tend to forget it's a crucial part of the application as well. So we've got another question from Achavero, who is currently a MSc degree holder in banking and finance. And she's asking if it's possible to take a PhD program at the university.
Yes, it is. Yes, we do have a range of PhD programs. They generally start in April of each year. So depending on what area that you'd like to focus on, which area of your research you'd like to specialize in, this is really more of a complicated application. And we do offer PhDs, but you really need to arrange a one-to-one session with our PhD course leaders within the Claude Littner Business School. So we can again provide you details to Ravina, and I'm more than happy to look at your application, see what you want to do, have a more of a private discussion about it, and then put you in touch with the relevant academic staff within the university who works in the business school.
Great. Our next question is from Sohad Cash. So he's asked about asked about a scholarship to study a master's degree in English. So also if you could cover maybe if students have to apply for a scholarship separately, if that's automatically applied for certain countries when they submit their application.
So the scholarship process is on our website. You basically have to explain, why you're deserving of the scholarship. What have you done so far in your life? What do you want to do in the future? And how studying at the University of West London will help you achieve your future career path. We look at all of the applications for scholarship very closely. There's a panel of us that look at them, and then we do shortlisting based on the quality of the applicant. We also look at the geographic region from where the applicant's coming from, because we want to promote diversity. So we're really interested in people applying from every corner of the world. And we're looking for people who've already got strong skills that they can add to the university environment or their course. And we're looking for people who are keen maybe to be involved in promoting the university. So for example, we have a student who's won a scholarship this year, a Chinese student who's very interested in digital marketing. And we're going to encourage her to work on a couple of projects within our team, our international marketing team. So yeah, we're pretty open to whether they're an undergraduate student, a postgraduate student, and wherever they come in the world. We look at each one on its own. But the awards are up to £5,000. We don't give everyone £5,000. That's the top ones. So normally the top 3 or 4 get 5,000, and then it goes down like 3, 2.5, 1.5. So overall, we give away around between 50 and 60,000 pounds each intake. So we have scholarships awarded for our October and February intake. So if you're looking to come in February, you can apply now for scholarship.
Great, thanks, Nick. And I was just going to follow up actually more for the generic knowledge of everyone. Is there a deadline, for instance, for the February scholarship that you mentioned?
Not really. Before February, we get all applications.
The
but
sooner the
normally,
better, I guess, as well.
A month before, probably the month
Yeah.
before, we will review the scholarship applications that have come in and then notify everyone whether you've been successful or not.
Mhm.
It's a pretty straightforward filtering process that we go through, but we do look at every application. And the thing we focus on is the kind of the support statement, really. We look how well it's written, how articulate the person is. Yeah, we can spot when somebody's waffling. It's so obvious if they're just filling the page with fancy words. It's like with any support statement or any application for university, just keep it concise, to the point, but fill it with content, make it well written and easy and interesting to read, so that it sells you as a student to our university.
Thank you, Nick. We've actually just had a question come through from YouTube. So Simran is asking about which month would you get your CAS letter if they were to apply for the January intake at University of West London?
Okay, good question. We will probably accept students up until the beginning of January. It's going to be more of a last minute dash. We are quite flexible with start dates if students have to wait for visas, CAS letters. The process is quite long-winded, particularly for students from high-risk markets. We scrutinize the documents to a great extent, so it can take quite a long time to get the CAS and to go for the visa. But basically, the cut-off date is usually right before the beginning of the course. These days, for February, the turnaround time for visas is going to be a lot quicker. But we found for this September, it's been around 3 weeks. But in some countries, you can pay for a fast-track service, and it can be 24 hours or 5 days, depending on the country. Again, just to reiterate, apply early. The earlier you apply, the quicker we can process your application and go to CAS stage, and the quicker you can get your visa and book your flight.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I think it's important that they do it early as well, because with certain countries, there are visa delays. So the sooner you can apply, Simran, I guess, the better. We've got a question from Zainab, actually, but they're asking for entry requirements of 2 very different courses. So one is medicine, and the other one is theatre. So if there's drama or theatre.
Sure.
So I'm assuming there might be.
I'll take
on behalf of someone.
I'll take the medicine question first of all. We don't offer a medics program at the moment, but this is something that we've got ambitions in. Our latest development strategy plan has just been released. It should be on our website now. And one of the areas that we're going to focus on is developing our own medical school, which is fantastic news. And it makes a lot of sense because we've got a very strong faculty for nursing and midwifery and healthcare. So this is just a natural progression for us. So medics programs are extremely competitive, and you have to be a really high caliber student. But that's a ways off for now. But I am very pleased to announce at the moment, currently international students aren't allowed to apply for a master's and an MSc in nursing. However, this is likely to change within the next few months. So if you do an MSc in nursing, you are basically working within the NHS. So 50% of your teaching is on the job in the NHS. And as an international student, it's a bit complicated around being allowed to be placed in NHS settings, because we have to have agreements with NHS hospital trusts. The UK government have a target of 50,000 new nurses by 2025, which they don't have a chance of reaching unless they attract more international students. So we're working in partnership with the NHS Trust in Berkshire and the NHS Trust for Northwest London, and we're going to allow 30 places for an MSc in nursing for international students starting in May. It will be a 2 years master's course. It will be priced at around £16,000 per year. It's a very intensive course. There are, I think it's like 1,600 hours of tuition that you have. So it will probably start in May and finish in August 2 years later. So that's coming up. We're very excited about that. And then hopefully further down the line, we'll have medics. So moving on to your question about drama. We're really looking to do an audition. So I was fortunate enough to sit through an audition recently, so I can tell you the process. So in addition to the application, the student would have to perform 2 pieces, normally lasting between 10 and 15 minutes each piece. And the course leader would be there giving feedback. And this particular student was asked to repeat their performance in different ways, subtly, to improve their credibility in their performance. It was really interesting to watch. So as an experience to go through an audition like that, it's something that can be really productive and helpful to make students aware of how they can improve themselves in the way they come across in delivering their piece. So like for music, it's the same. We have like requirements for audition, for fashion and art, it's portfolios. So depending on the subject area, if you look at the UWL website under the particular course, entry requirements, it will clearly describe what's required for entry, whether it's a portfolio or audition requirement. We have guidelines for each of those as well available on the website.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, that was really insightful. Our next question, I'm assuming, came in when you were talking about the English language requirements. So students asked if only IELTS is accepted or if they could do a TOEFL as well, and if that would be accepted.
I believe so, yeah, TOEFL, yes. It's really the best source would be to check the UK VI website for English CELT, entry requirements. We, as I say, just to reiterate what I said earlier, at the moment we're not accepting third-party English language tests that aren't endorsed by the UK VI. This is mainly to do with the fact that we're just very careful to protect our license, and we want to make sure that we don't open ourselves up to scrutiny and put ourselves at risk. So apologies if you have to go out and take an IELTS test. It's a great thing to do as a general exercise anyway, just to test your level, keep yourself up to date. Yes, we welcome your application, but please make sure that you meet the English level requirement early on, because you don't want a situation where you tick all the boxes and you can provide all the evidence for entry, but you stumble on the English evidence, because getting an appointment for an IELTS exam can take time. Sometimes you might have to wait a couple of weeks to get an appointment, and then of course you've got to wait for the results to come through. So this should be one of the first things that you do if you're willing to apply to come to University of West London.
Thank you, Nick. We've got a question from a student who's interested in a MSc in bioinformatics, and they're wondering if there's still places available for January 2023.
Yes, I'll have to check the list. I've got a list of the courses for the January intake. They should be going live on our website within the next week. At the moment, our website is still set up for clearing for the September intake. But as soon as that's done, it will, I guess, the beginning of October, it will kick into the February intake. So all the course information for our February courses will be up then. But I can't check right at this moment, but if you contact me, Ravina. I'm more than happy to confirm to that student if we've got that course running in February. In terms of capacity of places, yes, to the best of my knowledge, we have capacity on all of the courses that we have running in February at the present time. We don't have any shortages as I know of at the moment.
Great, thank you, Nick. We've got a question from someone who's just clarifying something in your presentation. So they said, what do you mean by a high-risk country? Is it in terms of deposits?
Okay, yeah, good point. Yeah, very briefly, it's the UKVI. They decide which countries are higher risk in terms of like more likely to receive visa rejections. And unfortunately, you know, some countries are deemed higher risk than others. So, for example, it would be like South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nigeria is a common one. If you're a student from the USA or a European country, then you're going to be deemed lower risk. It's just the way it is. We don't make the rules, unfortunately. So that's why we have to require a higher level of deposit for the higher risk markets. It's nothing against you personally. It's just the rules of the UK government, and we have to follow them too.
Great. I'm just conscious of time.
Yes.
So I think I'll just take one final question, and I can see I'm just going through the rest and I'm noticing it's all about contact details. So yeah, just stay online while Nick is answering our last question. I'll put both of our contact details and Nick's contact details in the chat. So the last question we've got is from Petrus asking if there's any age restriction when you're doing an undergraduate degree with University of West London.
Generally, no. However, if you're required to apply for a visa, the UKVI would be more curious if there's a big gap in your studies. So typically, an applicant for an undergraduate program is going to be 21, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years of age. Anybody older than 23, it arouses suspicion. So we want to have a look at what you've done before. Our admissions team would see anybody over the age of 23 as more higher risk. So we'd scrutinize the application a bit more, really. For postgraduate, it's not really an issue because people generally have got, you know, they're in the workplace and they've got work experience during those gaps. But if it's your first degree, it could be a problem if you're over the age of 23. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nick. Just if you could just remind everyone of your email address as well, just before we...
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
So my email address is nick.miller@uwl.ac.uk. nick.miller@uwl.ac.uk. Please contact Ravina or any of your friends at SIUK. They're a very helpful team, and you know, they're our trusted partner. Just to reiterate, it really enhances your chances of getting a visa if you work with an agency such as SIUK. They're there to support and help you, and help us really help you through this minefield of applying for university and getting through the visa process. You know, I wish you all the best of luck. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. I am based in London, so if you are in London yourself and you want to meet up for a further discussion, or you want a one-to-one catch up online, then please get in contact with Ravina, and I would be happy to oblige and give you more time.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time and for answering all the questions so patiently, Nick. As he said, his contact details and also the SIUK contact details are in the chat box. So do feel free to get in touch. We are also based in London on Regent Street. So you can come and speak to us in the office or set up a one-to-one session with Nick as well. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. And we'll try and answer your questions when you email them across to us. Have a good evening.